You're listening to Financial Advisor Marketing, the best show on the planet for financial advisors who want to get more clients without all the stress. You're about to get the real scoop on everything from lead generation to closing the deal. James is the founder of theadvisorcoach.com, where you can find an entire suite of products designed to help financial advisors grow their businesses more rapidly than ever before. Now, here is your host, James Pollard.
Hey, financial advisors. Welcome to another episode of the Financial Advisor Marketing Podcast. This week, we're going to talk about why 90% of your marketing efforts are basically worthless. And that is true for me as well. 90% of my marketing efforts aren't as good as the final 10%, and that's what we're going to talk about. I want to start today with a confession. A few years ago, I spent about 3 weeks, maybe 4, putting together what I thought was the single best piece of content I'd ever created for financial advisors. I had deep research in there, original data, pretty pictures, multiple drafts. I outlined the whole thing and made it really structured. I was genuinely proud of it, but it got almost no traction. It was a dud. A handful of people saw it. That was it. I tried to promote it with online ads, and the online ads costs were so expensive compared to everything else that I put together. I just could not justify spending my time and money on it. Around the same time, I posted something on LinkedIn that took me maybe 10 minutes. It was just a short observation about why most financial advisor websites actually repel people instead of attracting them. It was just something kind of basic. I didn't really think much of it. It was just a thought that I had while doing website reviews. If you have been in my world for a long time, you know I used to offer website reviews for $497, a 10-minute website review. It was when I was doing those. And that post did more for my business in a single week than the entire project that I did that took me almost a month to put together, I believe. I got more newsletter signups, and email newsletter, and the Inner Circle newsletter as well. I got more messages from financial advisors. I got more website activity. I got everything. And for a long time, I chalked that sort of thing up to randomness. Like, you just had to put some volume in, which is partly true. And again, we're going to talk about that. I just thought that you just had to do enough and then eventually something would pop off. Turns out there's actual math behind why this happens. And once I understood it, it changed the way I think about every marketing piece that I produce in the marketing that I recommend to financial advisors. It's called a power law. And if you're a financial advisor who's doing any kind of marketing at all, like LinkedIn, email, seminars, direct mail, podcasting, anything, you need to understand this concept because it explains why you feel like you're working so hard and getting so little in return. Let's get into this. Here's how most financial advisors think marketing works. They think, if I send 1 email per week and I get 2 appointments, then if I send 2 emails per week, I'll get 4 appointments. If I post on LinkedIn 3 times a week and I get a few profile views, then posting 6 times a week should double the profile views I receive. Twice the input, twice the output. It makes sense, right? Well, it's wrong. It is completely wrong. That's not how marketing works. That's not how content works. That's not how client acquisition works. And honestly, that's not even how your existing business works. If you look at the numbers, the real world, not the textbook world, the real world runs on something called a power law distribution. And here's the plain English version. In almost any system where results compound and network effects exist, a tiny number of efforts produce almost all of the results, and everything else produces close to nothing. If you've heard me talk about the 80-20 rule, this is in the same vein as that. So on Spotify, for example, there are over 100 million songs. The top 1% of artists capture roughly, I'll let you guess. How many streams, expressed as a percentage, do you believe that the top 1% of artists capture? Is it 10%? Is it 20%? Is it 30%? How much do you think? Like, if the 1% of artists get 30% of all streams, that would be a lot, right? Well, they get 90%. Isn't that insane? The median song doesn't get enough streams to buy a cup of coffee. 90,000 songs are uploaded every single day. Most of them will never be heard by anyone. But the top 1% of artists, the Drakes and Ed Sheerans and Taylor Swifts and just so on and so forth, those people get 90% of all of the streaming revenue. That is a power law. in venture capital. Y Combinator has funded over 4,000 companies. Their total portfolio is worth over $600 billion at the time of this recording, but a massive chunk of that value comes from maybe 5 to 10 companies. So think about that. 4,000 companies, but the bulk of that value, the $600 billion, comes from companies like Airbnb and Coinbase and DoorDash. That itty bitty slice of the portfolio represents almost all of the equity returns. Peter Thiel put $500,000 into Facebook in 2004. That single investment returned over $1 billion. That's one bet. His entire reputation as an investor is basically that one decision. Well, not really, but the power law. Okay, that is the 1% that drove the bulk of his returns. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, James, I get that. That's awesome. But what does this stuff have to do with my business in suburban Dallas or in Oklahoma or Oregon? Everything, because the exact same power law math applies to your marketing. It applies to your client relationships, your revenue, your referral sources, all of the stuff in your business. I want you to do something after this episode. I want you to pull up your revenue by client, and I want you to sort it from highest to lowest. Just look at it. I've done this exercise with hundreds of financial advisors, and the pattern is almost always the same. Unless you're a flat fee where you charge the same for every single person, somewhere around 15 to 20% of your clients generate 70 to 80% of your revenue. And the bottom half of your client list collectively, they might represent 5, 10, 20% of what you earn. You already live in a power law. You just haven't called it that yet. Now think about your referral sources. If you're like most advisors, you've gotten referrals from maybe dozens of people over the course of your career. That's awesome. But if you actually track it, or if you have tracked it, and because most advisors don't, which is a separate problem, 2 or 3 referral sources have probably sent you more business than all of the others combined. I've got one inner circle member who has probably referred at least 50 people to the inner circle. Does that mean every single person signs up? No, but he is doing referral after referral after referral, and I am eternally grateful. And sometimes I feel bad because I have to tell people, I don't think you're a good fit. Like, I don't think you should sign up. But that is a power law. I have worked with thousands of financial advisors at this point, and here's what I can tell you with a high degree of confidence. The distribution of marketing results follows the exact same pattern in power law. Most of the marketing you do, and I mean this sincerely, will produce little to no measurable result. Most LinkedIn posts will get a handful of impressions. Most emails will get opened but not clicked, not acted on. Most seminar invitations will end up in the recycling bin. Most website pages will never rank, will never generate any meaningful activity, or at least move the needle. So on and so forth. That is not a sign that you're bad at marketing. It is just a normal thing. It's the natural mathematical distribution of how marketing results work. But here's the flip side. A small number of your marketing efforts, maybe 5%, maybe less. Remember, Spotify, the 1% get 90% of streams. So a little tiny slice of your marketing will produce wildly disproportionate results. One LinkedIn post that gets shared by someone with a huge network, and suddenly 50,000 people see your name and your photo. One email that hits at exactly the right moment and it generates a whole bunch of appointments for you in a week. I'll tell you a little story about this. A long time ago, I wrote this email called Financial Advisor Coach is Jealous of Me. And I don't know what it was. I don't know what was in the air that day or the water, but it just worked. And to this day, it's one of the most successful emails that I've ever sent. I cannot explain it. What's crazy is that I tried to send it again at least 3 times just to try to capture that magic again. I'm like, well, holy smokes, if this email was such a winner, I'm going to try to reuse it. But it didn't work as well the second time and the third time and the fourth time. But the first time I sent it, I don't know why, but it drove people to sign up. I don't get it. But that's the power law. I don't really know how to explain it. That is the power law at work. And if you don't understand this, you'll make 2 critical mistakes. And I'll tell you what they are. Mistake number 1 is that you quit too early because you think that your marketing isn't working. And this is a big one. I hear it all the time. James, I tried LinkedIn for 3 months and nothing happened. I sent emails for 6 weeks and I didn't get a single appointment. I did 4 seminars and I only got 1 client. And I get it. I get how that feels. It feels like failure. If you're thinking in linear terms, every effort should produce a proportional result. So if you want 1 appointment from 1 marketing thing, then you want 2 appointments from 2 marketing things. So when that doesn't happen, it feels bad. But in a power law world, that's not failure. That's exactly how it's supposed to happen. You just haven't hit that outlier yet. Let's put some math on this. If you're kind of dozing off right now or not paying attention, I want you to, wake up, pay attention, listen. This is the important part of the podcast. This is something that I want to stick with you forever. If the probability of any single marketing effort producing a breakthrough result is, let's just say 0.5%, then here's what the numbers look like. After 10 marketing efforts, you got about a 5% chance that at least one of them was a hit. Okay, are you following me? If the chance of anything being super successful is 0.5%, you do that 10 times, you have a 5% chance that at least one of them becomes that super successful, mega viral, mega awesome hit. After 100 efforts, your odds go up to about 39%. You're getting better, but you're still more likely to have nothing happen or no mega viral, no awesome content or marketing pieces than 1. So, and again, it's not 50% because that's not how math works. You could fact check me on this. I'm right. I ran the numbers before recording this. And then after 500 efforts, you're up to about 92%. So now the math is strongly in your favor. But look, it's still not 100%. Even after 500 tries at something, it's still not 100% guaranteed. It's 92% guaranteed. So when a financial advisor tells me I tried and it didn't work and I'm so sad and I'm going to quit, my question is, how many things did you actually try? How many efforts did you make? Because if the answer is 10 or 20 or even 50, you have not given the power law enough attempts to express itself. This is not the same thing as saying, oh, well, just keep doing what you're doing. I am not saying that. I'm not telling you to bang your head against a wall for 5 years. I'm just telling you, if your approach is sound, if you're targeting the right audience with the right message, with the right channels, then the results distribution is naturally uneven. Long stretches of nothing, followed by disproportionate spikes. And the advisors who stay in the game long enough are the ones who see those spikes. I mean, if you try something 500 times, you got a 92% chance of that super awesome thing happening, assuming the super awesome thing happens 0.5% of the time. Okay. Listen up, financial advisors. This is something special I'm doing exclusively for people who listen to this podcast. If you subscribe to the Inner Circle newsletter over at theadvisorcoach.com/coaching, I will send you a collection of 7 copyright-free emails personally written by me that you can use right away to begin getting more clients. I call these my objection-busting emails because they're designed to overcome the biggest objections financial advisors face. All you have to do is send me an email letting me know you've subscribed, and I will reply back with a link where you can download them for free. I originally offered these in the May 2024 Inner Circle newsletter issue, and it was one of the most popular bonuses I've ever given away. Today, these 7 objection-busting copyright-free emails are only available to listeners of this podcast because I'm not mentioning them anywhere else. Go to theadvisorcoach.com/coaching to subscribe today. Now, back to the show. Mistake number 2 is when something works, you don't double down. And this is the one that really kills me. And this is not a promise that it will work all the time. Again, the financial advisor coach is jealous of me email did not work the second, third, and fourth time. But, I still tried it. I still tried to double down because had it worked, I would have had a humongous winner. So let's say a financial advisor tries something and it works extremely well. And then the advisor moves on to the next thing. The advisor's already thinking about a new tactic or a new channel, and they treat the win like a pleasant surprise instead of what it actually is, which is the most valuable signal they can receive in marketing. In a power law world, when something works, it is not the time to diversify. It's the time to go all in because that success is telling you something the market almost never tells you clearly, which is this is what people want from you. They want this specific angle, this specific message, whatever you did, they want it. So if a LinkedIn post about tax planning for business owners gets 10 times the engagement of everything that you've ever posted, the correct move is not to post something about estate planning the next time. It's to double down, write 5 more posts about tax planning for business owners, do a webinar on it, write a lead magnet, build a landing page, send a direct mail piece about tax planning. Just go hard in the paint with this idea. Let me walk you through what the power law means for specific marketing channels that financial advisors use, just to give you some ideas. On LinkedIn, most of your posts will underperform. That is fine. That's what happens. So you need to do more, and that does come down to volume. I alluded to this earlier. Sometimes financial advisors just need to do more stuff. Volume means you need to be posting consistently enough that you're buying enough lottery tickets in this power distribution law. If you post once a week, you're buying 52 tickets a year. If you post 3 times a week, you're buying 156. So your odds of hitting an outlier go up disproportionately, I would say, because once you find it, then you're going to double down. And I mean, it is proportionally, but it's disproportionately once you double down, if that makes sense. So you just try a bunch of stuff, and you need to make sure that you are paying attention to the results that come in. So if you get 1,000 impressions with most of your posts, and then you do something and you get 10,000 impressions, you now have what detectives call a clue. In email marketing, it's pretty much the same dynamic. Most emails you send will not directly produce an appointment, or at least not the outsized number of appointments that you will get when you have a winner. I had an inner circle member who sent a weekly email to his list for 11 months and didn't really get any results from it. I mean, yes, he got appointments here and there, but nowhere near what I would expect. And I told him again and again, email every single day, set up an autoresponder sequence, but he didn't want to do it for whatever reason. That's fine. You don't have to listen to me, I guess. What do I know? But in month 12, he sent an email about a specific tax law change and how it affected business owners with revenue in the millions. And that single email generated, I think, 14 replies. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I think it was 14 replies, and the bulk of those people ended up setting appointments, and almost all of them became clients. I mean, it was pretty crazy. So he did 11 months of activity with virtually nothing happening. And then one email changed his entire year. So now I want you to think about this. Did he waste the first 11 months? Not necessarily, because those 11 months kept him on his list radar. They built the familiarity, they built the trust that made the 12th month email work. Because if he had quit in month 4 because email doesn't work after weeks and weeks and weeks of sending those weekly emails, he would have missed that whole thing. He never would have gotten to the point where he experienced that spike in his results. Seminars, same thing. Most attendees won't become clients. You might find one seminar that just knocks it out of the park. Referral system, same thing. I talked about this earlier. Your referral sources, you might have 1 or 2 referral sources that just send you the bulk of the appointments. Content marketing, SEO, getting found in AI results, same thing. I mean, I know I have more than 100 blog posts, and I think maybe 6 or 7 give me the bulk of my referrals from artificial intelligence results and from SEO. And it's just the way it is. Paid advertising, same thing. If you put 100 advertisements out on Facebook or LinkedIn or Google or Twitter, you're going to find that 5 to 10 to 20 of those advertisements produce the overwhelming majority of your results. Paid advertising follows that power law. The most ad variations you test will be just normal, average, mediocre. That's the way it is. Your results have to form an average. Therefore, the bulk of what you do will be close to average, your average. But in order for an average to exist, you have to be above it and below it. And sometimes you're going to be really far above it. When that happens, you need to ride that wave. So here's where all of this comes together. I think this might be the most important part of this episode. Financial advisors understand portfolio theory. They understand diversification and not putting all of your eggs in one basket, and they accept that some investments will underperform because the winners will more than compensate. That happens in the S&P 500. The winning companies stay in there. If a company is absolute dog crap, it eventually moves out of the S&P 500. I mean, if you look at the companies that were in that decades ago, and then you look at it now, you would be surprised. You need to apply that same thinking to your marketing. Everything that you do, your marketing is a portfolio. It's your posts and your emails and your seminars, everything that we've been talking about in this Financial Advisor Marketing Podcast episode. Most of them will generate average returns. They'll be slightly above, they'll be slightly below, but you're forming an average. And a few of them will generate spectacular returns. And the spectacular returns dwarf everything else. So the implications of this are pretty straightforward. First, you need enough quote unquote positions in your portfolio. This is why I talk about multiple marketing strategies. It is the philosophy that I invented for financial advisors in the financial advisor marketing world. I was the guy who came up with this. An advisor who does one marketing activity per week has 52 positions per year. An advisor who does one per day has 365. Now imagine if you send an email every single day and you post on LinkedIn every single day. Wow, you have now taken your 365 and you have doubled it. So now you have an enormous, almost insurmountable advantage over the financial advisor who barely does marketing. And second, you need to accept that most positions will be average or underperform. This is the hardest part for advisors because they're analytical people and they want to optimize everything. They look at a LinkedIn post that got like 12 impressions and start thinking, what did I do wrong? How do I fix this? And sometimes the answer is nothing. You didn't do anything wrong. That's just how distribution works. The post was fine. It just was not the outlier. Third, when you find a winner, what did I tell you to do? Double down. That means you need to allocate more resources to it. In portfolio terms, this is rebalancing. If you find, except you're not rebalancing towards the losers, you're rebalancing towards the winners, but I hope the analogy kind of holds. If you find a topic that resonates with people in your market, create even more content about that topic. Go there, do that thing. If you find a channel that converts well for you, spend more time and money on that channel. It kills me when I see financial advisors say, oh, I did this direct mail piece and it worked extremely well. Thank you so much, James. I'm so appreciative for everything that you've done for me. And then I say, oh, well, what are you doing now? Like, what's up? What's going on? Oh, well, I'm actually doing YouTube now. WTF. You found something that's a gold mine for you. And you said, you know what? This is awesome, but I'm not going to do it again. That's just the dumbest thing. Where was I? So first, second, third, and fourth, this is the one that almost nobody wants to hear. You need runway. So in investing terms, you need to be able to survive long enough for the power law to express itself. If you try marketing for a couple of months and you quit because you don't see results, that's like buying stocks and selling them after one bad quarter. You never gave the distribution time to work. That's why I tell financial advisors, if you are not willing to stay in the inner circle for at least a year, at least, like bare minimum, I don't even really feel truly 100% comfortable recommending just a year. Ideally, it should be multiple years, but at least a year, then you're not ready. You need that runway. And I know that sounds like a long time, but think about it in your client's terms. Would you ever tell a client to judge their investment strategy based on 3 months of performance? No, you would tell them to stay the course, trust the process, give the strategy enough time to work, dollar cost average, all that stuff. Same thing applies to your marketing, except in this case, you're both the advisor and you're the client. All right, we are at the 22-minute mark in this episode, so we are coming up on time here, but I want to tell you one more thing. I want to make sure I include this in this episode because it is incredibly important. The dark side of power laws, and I know I said this, but I want to really hammer this point. Most of what you do will not produce the result you want. It's not because you did it wrong. It is, again, the mathematical structure of how results happen in complex systems. Most of your posts will not go viral. Most of your emails will not generate appointments. And if you're the kind of person who needs every effort to produce a visible result to stay motivated, honestly, marketing is going to be really hard for you because marketing is by its nature a power law game. You're making lots of small bets. You're absorbing lots of small losses and waiting for the occasional outsized win that pays for everything else. That's how online advertising is. I mean, if you try 100 ads and you're spending $5 a day on those ads, you're spending $500, but you might spend $400 on losers, and then the other 100, the 20%, absolutely go super profitable for you. Once you accept that distribution, though, you stop beating yourself up when your individual efforts don't work because you realize it's just data in a distribution. It's working exactly as expected. And you can also, this is really cool. This is hard for financial advisors to do, but if this clicks for you, it can be life-changing. You can stop over investing in perfection for every single thing you produce. If 90% of your post will get minimal traction regardless, spending 4 hours perfecting each post that you put out is a bad use of your time. Spending a couple of minutes, 10, 15, 30 on a good post and then using the remaining 3 hours or however much time you have to create 5 more good posts is a much better strategy. You're buying more tickets. You're increasing your portfolio size. And paradoxically, the less pressure you put on each individual piece of marketing, the better your marketing tends to get because you're looser and you're more creative. You're more willing to try something different. You're more willing to say something you actually believe instead of something safe and forgettable. Some of the best performing content I've ever seen from financial advisors came from moments when they just stopped trying to be perfect and said something real, something honest. I had an Inner Circle member post something on LinkedIn about how he genuinely struggled with imposter syndrome during his first 2 years as a financial advisor. And he almost didn't post it because he thought it was too personal. It became either his most engaged or one of his most engaged posts by, 10 times. And it led to a bunch of clients and huge relationship for him. He couldn't have predicted that. But by posting enough and being willing to occasionally swing hard, he created the conditions for it to happen. That is power law thinking. So stop evaluating your marketing effort by effort alone. Start evaluating it as a portfolio over time. Stop expecting linear results from a power law system. You won't get twice the output from twice the input, at least not for most things in life and marketing. You'll get long stretches of minimal results punctuated by occasional spikes that make the whole thing worthwhile. That is how it's supposed to work. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, if I make cold calls, then yes, that's going to be linear. I do door knocking, okay, linear, right? But I'm talking about people who are interested in building wealth and building a system that operates independently of their time. That is what wealth is. Like, you are financially free when your income is no longer tied to your time, okay? Those are the financial advisors I'm talking to. Alrighty, that is it for this week's episode of the Financial Advisor Marketing Podcast. As always, if you found this episode useful, please share it with someone else. That's the number one way that podcasts grow. And I will catch you next week.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.